On this week's Land Beat, we're talking about how to manage for secure bedding these canyons with the mixed prairie and woody structure. All right guys, there's not really a hard, fast rule when it comes to managing this landscape. What I mean by that, when we're trying to encourage deer to bed in specific areas, so we know bedding just like we know food, resources, where they're at, we now have the connection point, right? We know transitions based on topography. We know where the bedding is really going to take place at. So as we've talked in some of these other videos, this is a very diverse area. So we don't have the exact same cover type. We've got shrubs, we've got cedars, we've got some little bit more mature trees, hackberries and elms specifically, but they're not all growing at the same composition or the same density. So that means there's not a hard, fast rule of how to go about creating better structure in each one of those areas. So back behind me, we've got an area where we've got just a few of the hackberry and elm, more of the overstory tree with an understory of some eastern red cedar. So what we can do here to encourage more structure, woody structure on the ground, is to actually go and target some of those larger overstory elms and hackberries and literally just flush cut those and let that canopy fall. There's our woody structure. It's going to regenerate. And if we're looking at the size of those cedars, they're still relatively young cedars. They're 5, 6, maybe 7 foot tall. Once they really get over 8, 10 foot tall, it's about the time now they become kind of a prime target for the chainsaw. Like this cedar right back beside me. We can come here, fell this cedar. It happens to be a female as well, so it's producing a lot of berries compared to male cedars. So we can target this one. Because it's female and because its height structure is over that 10-foot size. So we can drop this, go and specifically drop those elms and hardwoods, get some regeneration, have the structure of the hardwoods down on the ground, and still have residual cover from the younger cedars. And that's how I would address an area like this. But as we move farther up the canyon, we've got a completely different scenario of what that looks like based on the composition and how then we'd manage it. All right guys, we've moved just up the canyon here and we're a little bit tighter, more narrow of this canyon, closer to the head of it. So we don't have as much sunlight getting down here and we don't have as much woody browse or the shrub tree component. What we've got is eastern red cedar and it's starting to get to be pretty numerous of them. So this is different and the prescription would be different in how we manage it. But again, we want to find the balance between shrubs, grasses, and some of the eastern red cedar structure. So what we're going to do in this area is come in specifically targeting the cedar and cutting below the bottom branch and just letting these fall over. They're still going to provide great cover as they're felled over and laying on their side. That cedar skeleton takes a very long time, especially in this very dry, low humidity climate, to decompose. They can last through several prescribed fires as well. So we're literally just coming in underneath that bottom branch, tipping them over and thinning them back out. 30, 40, maybe 50% of them in denser pockets like this, where we'll get a little bit more sunlight back through there, encourage some more grass growth, but create this dotted cedar density that we really are going for. So when we have some hardwood component or some shrub component, we'll definitely manage for that like we did in the other area. But here, the number one target is to thin or reduce, not get rid of, but thin or reduce some of the cedar growing in this area. All right guys, for the third scenario, we've got an area within the same exact canyon that's got a lot more hardwood component than cedar and shrubs. So we got grasses and elms and hackberries. In this area, the best prescription is to be able to go in and address those hackberries and the elms. From what I'm seeing, ideally, we'd like to take about 50% of those trees and hinge cut and or flush cut these trees over. Basically take those canopies that are out of reach, all that woody browse potential, and then dump those over, take the canopies of those treetops, place them on the ground, kind of a surrogate shrub, and then that resprouting action from these hardwoods is going to provide more woody browse and additional cover down the road. So we're just stepping in and doing a mechanical reduction and allowing these trees to resprout, but putting that structure back on the ground, because that's obviously where deer are bedded. They're not bedded up in trees, they're bedded on the ground. So let's take that and give it back to them essentially, instead of just having a single trunk tree growing up with all those resources out of reach. We're still going to have a shade component in here from the hills and the hollers, and then those structures, if they're hinged over, they're still going to be leafing out, providing some forage, but also some shade. Deer in this prairie system love to have structure at their back. You see that as they bed against shrubs, as they bed against cedars, and we can take these trees and essentially turn them back into a shrub by using a chainsaw. So we're going here, reduce that, hackberries, elms, and there's honey locust in there as well. So all those are great foraging species for deer. We've got food, we got cover, and we're just giving it to the deer and hunting them as they pinch and squeeze farther back on their transition to a larger destination food source.